back at me hand.
Still there. Really? Yeah.
Which one?
Irish people in West Orange.
Yeah, by up the hill a little.
Okay. Huh.
Judy Chicago sold it. We're on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchab Tarduling, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City and northern New Jersey, and that's where we are now, northern New Jersey, specifically South Orange. This is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically topics from the Lamrim Chenmo. If there is anyone who has passed away recently you want us to pray for, and we will be praying for the Charles Kirk, who was murdered today. Whether you agree with the politics of him or not, I don't, but violence has to stop. We're Buddhists. We're against violence. So, anyway, put their names in the chat box. Don't delay. All the prayers we say are on the Tibet Center website, Kunchab Tarduling website, or Tibet Center website. In the FAQ section, scroll down to prayers. So we'll start with the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, they transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awakened to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva, mahasattva, Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering, and the world, with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. So generating bodhicitta, or refuge and bodhisattva vows, we say the verses 3 times each. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So we set we did the Heart Sutra to dispel obstacles, we took refuge, we generated bodhicitta, and now to further cement our motivation, we'll say one rosary's worth of Om Mani Padme Hum, the mantra of Avalokiteshvara, who personifies great compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme. Om Mani Padme Hum. So the menu tonight, we'll hear from His Holiness Geshe Sopa, Nagarjuna, and Yangtze Rinpoche, and whoever he quotes, all on the topic of impermanence and death. Let's see where we ended up last week. Okay, last Monday night rather. So this is a wonderful book called Mind of Clear Light: Advice on Dying and Living a Better Life. His Holiness Dalai Lama. It's got a different title now. This is an older copy, but it's the same text, almost the same pagination. So if you see the new copy, you can get it. It's got a long introduction, or forward, he calls it, by Jeffrey Hopkins. So if you're new, not even have never heard anything about Buddhism or whatever, Jeffrey will take you from ground zero to the first step, and then he introduces His Holiness live on his stage. So we're going to pick it up, just the first chapter of this, on page 39 of this, again, Advice on Dying. I think that's the title now, just Advice on Dying, or something. It's very brief. It doesn't have a photo on the cover anymore, I don't think. A couple of copies should be upstairs, so anyone wants to read it. So this is like an introduction. He quotes Buddha: "Just as when weaving one reaches the end with fine threads woven throughout, so is the life of humans," says the Buddha. The thread runs out. All right. Reach for a new spindle, a new roll. You know about fabrics.
Yeah, exactly.
So His Holiness starts, "It is crucial to be mindful of death," and he gives you the reasons, of course, "to contemplate that you will not remain long in this life. If you are not aware of death, you will fail to take advantage of this special human life that you have already attained." Well, if you got his book, you're pretty far along already, if you're interested in reading this. So it is meaningful, since based on it, important effects can be accomplished. Analysis of death is not for the sake of becoming fearful, but to appreciate this precious lifetime during which you can perform many important practices. By the way, feel free to interrupt. This is a discussion. There's no Lama here. We're just students, all of us. So that's it. No formality. Rather than being frightened, you need to reflect that when death comes, you will lose this good opportunity for practice. In this way, contemplation of death will bring more energy to your practice. So that's the purpose. It's not to get lost in depression. Everything is, you could do that, but it's not healthy. You need to accept that death comes in the normal course of life. As Buddha said, a place to stay untouched by death does not exist. It does not exist in space. It does not exist in the ocean, nor if you stay in the middle of a mountain, nor if you go to Mar-a-Lago. No, we could add that on. He didn't say that. We editorialize. His Holiness continues, "If you accept that death is part of life, then when it actually does come, you may face it more easily." And again, the Kadampa advice: you should fear death now. At the time of death, relax and be joyful. That's it. Time of death, don't get frightened. Your whole mind isn't working then. When people know deep inside that death will come, but deliberately avoid thinking about it, that's a lot of us. Deep inside, maybe not, but on the surface, but never mind. That does not fit the situation and is counterproductive. The same is true when old age is not accepted as part of life, but taken to be unwanted and deliberately avoided in thought. Wait till it hits you guys. It's not fun. It's not for wusses. This leads to being mentally unprepared, yes. Then when old age inevitably occurs, it is very difficult. Remember how Rinpoche would always say, "Oh, I'm old man now, I'm this and that." That's what he was doing, prepping us. I even repeat his words. Now I'm old man. When I can't find something and I'm carrying it, Where are my sunglasses? They're on your head, you idiot. Many people are physically old but pretend they are young. Sometimes when I meet with longtime friends, such as certain senators in countries like the United States, I greet them with "my old friend," meaning that we have known one another for a long period, not necessarily physically old. But when I say this, some of them emphatically correct me. "We are not old, we're longtime friends." They hook on that point, the word old. They're very sensitive. I'm sorry. Actually, they are old. This is only the saying. With hairy ears, a sign of old age, but they aren't comfortable with being old. That's foolish. Now he sees a whole pattern of life after life and life. It's in there. That's taken as empirical fact. Most people don't, you know. I usually think of the maximum duration of a human life as 100 years, which, compared to the life of the planet, is very short. This brief existence should be used in such a way that it does not create pain for others. Chenrezig again. It should be committed not to destructive work, but to more constructive activities, at least to not harming others or creating trouble for them. In this way, our brief span as a tourist on this planet will be meaningful. We're all tourists here. If a tourist visits a certain place for a short period and creates more trouble, that's silly. But if, as a tourist, you make others happy during this short period, that is wise. When you yourself move on to your next place, you will feel happy. If you create problems, even though you yourself do not encounter any difficulty during your stay, you will wonder what the use of your visit was. The whole term of life. Of life's 100 years, the early portion is spent as a child, and the final portion is spent in old age, often just like an animal feeding and sleeping. I would like to do that. It has its, has its lure, In between, especially what you eat is important. In between, there might be 60 or 70 years to be used meaningfully. As Buddha said, half of the life is taken with sleep. 10 years are spent in childhood. 20 years are lost in old age. Of the remaining 20 years, sorrow, complaining, pain, and agitation eliminate much more time, and hundreds of physical illnesses destroy much more. It ain't a picnic, no matter what Madison Avenue tells us. It's not. To make life meaningful, acceptance of old age and death as parts of our life is crucial. Feeling that death is almost impossible just creates more greediness and more trouble, sometimes even deliberate harm to others. Think so? I think so. It seems to be right. And certain things that are really not important take on such importance. The right car, the right suit, accessories for your house. It's crazy. I don't know. When we take a good look at how supposedly great personages, emperors, monarchs, and so forth, built huge dwelling places and walls, we see that deep inside their minds was an idea that they would stay in this life forever. We won't comment on this. This self-deception results in more pain and more trouble for many people, including the person who perpetrates it. What does that condition their mind to for the next? Even for those who do not believe in future lifetimes, contemplation of reality is productive, helpful, and scientific. Because persons, minds, and all other cause phenomena change moment by moment, this opens up the possibility for positive development. It's Constantine, nothing is static, nothing is claustrophobic. Everything's workable. That I like. But he doesn't care if I like it or not. But anyway, if situations did not change, they would forever retain the nature of suffering. Once you know things are always changing, even if you are passing through a very difficult period, you can find comfort in knowing that the situation will not remain that way forever. So, there is no need for frustration. And he is in a certain position where he's watched his countrymen and women be slaughtered, and it's still tortured. And 7 million, they lost 1 million of that in the purge, Good fortune, all this holiness continues. Good fortune also is not permanent. Oh, consequently, there's no use for too much attachment when things are going well. I would like them to go well to test this, though, I'm in on that. We should test. When are they going well? God damn it. An outlook of permanence ruins us. Well, he's right. Even if you accept that there are future lives, the present becomes your preoccupation. and the future takes on little import. Yeah, it is future life, but right now. This ruins a good opportunity when your life is endowed with the leisure and facilities to engage in productive practices. An outlook of impermanence helps in many ways. Even the study of emptiness, impermanence helps. Being aware of impermanence calls for discipline, taming the mind. But this does not mean punishment or control from the outside. This is a big theme, I think, because when we think of Buddhist practice, it's tough, it's this, it's that. It's not punishment. It's practical work, I go to Catholic school, it's punishment. You look the wrong way at somebody, I'll see you at 3 o'clock. And what are you supposed to do? Offer it up. Hey, you didn't go to Catholic school, did you? Did you go to school at Walmart? I'm joking. No, you went to music school. It's discipline, taming the mind, does not mean punishment or control from the outside. This is internal control, so we shouldn't blend the two together. Bifurcate the two, something like that, Discipline does not mean prohibition. Rather, it means that when there is a contradiction between long-term and short-term interests, you sacrifice the short-term for the sake of the long-term benefit. Very nicely said, and a good motivation for practice. He looks into the mind and gives you a good... This is self-underlying discipline, in italics, self-discipline, which stems from ascertaining the cause and effect of karma. So he makes that connection. Self-discipline helps if you think of cause and effect in many ways. Everything's workable. There's a way out. The situation you're in was caused, so if it was caused, it's automatically impermanent. It's always changing moment by moment. The more we take this in and really start to live with the idea, I think the better we'll be. For example, for the sake of my stomach's returning to normal after my recent illness, he had a gallbladder operation. I am avoiding sour foods and cold drink that otherwise appear to be tasty and attractive. There goes the Haagen-Dazs. This type of discipline means protection. In a similar way, reflection on death calls for self-discipline and self-protection, not punishment. Bang, bang. Human beings have all the potential to create good things, but its full utilization requires freedom, liberty, period. Totalitarianism stifles this growth. In a complementary way, individualism means that you do not expect something from the outside or that you are waiting for others, or for orders rather. Rather, you yourself create the initiative. You're on your own, right? And we are. What happened? The messages came in?
I just remembered this quote from Zigar Kongtrul Rinpoche.
Yes, Zilkar, yeah.
Which is, discipline is affection for your own mind stream.
Discipline is affection for your own mind stream by who? Hold on, let me get it. I don't know if you're picking him up?
Zigar Kongtrul Rinpoche. I think we have a book of his about...
Zilkar or Zilkar? I don't think
He's Enigma.
So discipline is
affection
for your mind. That's a good one. Thanks, Mark. Buddha frequently called for individual liberation, His Holiness continues, meaning self-liberation, not through an organization. And that's true. We attain Buddha in ourselves. We don't go someplace, plug in, sit in the audience, and then walk out as a Buddha. That would be nice, but...
That's not what we're doing here.
No, I'm sorry. If we sold it on that basis, we were lying. No, you're on your own here. We don't seem to be able to organize a big, massive movement, do we? However, we eat well. Each individual must create her or his own positive future. Freedom and individualism require self-discipline. If these are exploited for the sake of afflictive emotions, there are negative consequences. Cause and effect, guys. Freedom and self-discipline must work together. Freedom and self-discipline must work together. Now the next heading he has is broadening your perspective. From a Buddhist perspective, the highest of all aims is to achieve Buddhahood in order to be capable of helping a vast number of sentient beings. However, a medium level of achievement can liberate you from the painful round of birth, aging, sickness, and death. A lower, but still valuable level of achievement is the improvement of your future life. So he gives you the three goals right there.
Can I ask one thing?
You can ask, comment, complain, anything.
So it seems like those previous sentences about discipline seem to point to a very kind of individualistic outlook.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look at the Tibetan Buddhist community, the monks seem so effective because of their doing it in community.
But the community comes, when they come to the community, coming with a kind of mind that's altruistic and it's trained.
Right.
So the inner and the outer advice has to be balanced. A good disciplined mind, a good person with good motivation, then joins the community. His Holiness personifies that. The previous Ling Rinpoche said he was the right Dalai Lama at the right time. Like there's a selection of them. Because he was able to handle politics, meet with science people, etc. And revolutionary where it counts. He has women in the tantric colleges now. They never even thought of that in the old days. Let alone getting a geisha degree. So.
I think what I wanted to say is in my own experience, my ability to be more disciplined has often come about from choosing the right context or
Choosing the right.
I mean, recognizing that if I'm with these group of people, it rubs off on me.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, it does help. It helps group meditation too. In the Zen place or some of the other places that have, you seem to be able to concentrate if everybody around you is concentrating. There's less minds going this way, that. Who knows why, you know? But it does help, and that's why it's so important that we keep this place going. You know, reading room, people can. The combination of group practice and individual pursuing, it's critical. I mean, it's more valuable than a hospital. The hospital can cure this body, but this could cure your future bodies, I think. I don't know. So why don't we get Medicare here, you know? From the he continues on page 45. Anything else? No, did I cut you off?
No.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while. How you been?
At least a minute.
Before I forget, the president of Lithuania had a dialogue with the president of Finland. It's on YouTube. Very interesting. Only about a half hour long.
What's it about?
About the situation in Europe and how they're joining together now.
Nice.
And also about the basketball game between Finland and Lithuania. But that's beside. No, they're both very intelligent. Their English is impeccable.
Excellent.
They think before they speak.
Yeah.
Not like, I mean, really, it's amazing. Oh, it's a wonderful play. And
That's a good thing.
that's a very good
I'm
thing.
going to watch.
Yeah. From the gradual improvement, His Holiness goes on page 45, of your lives, liberation can be attained gradually. And based on this, eventually Buddhahood can be attained. So liberation here is getting out of samsara. You know, you're not plunged into your next life. You can control where you go. So you're at, then Buddhahood is the highest goal from that. So in case people got confused with that. First, your perspective intends to include future lives. Then, by thoroughly understanding your own plight, your perspective deepens to include all of the round of suffering from one life to another called cyclic existence or samsara. Right? Finally, this understanding can be extended to others through the compassionate wish that all sentient beings be freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. This compassion drives you to aspire to Buddhahood. And I think that's the only thing that can. Because compassion is the root of bodhicitta, and bodhicitta is needed to empower the mind to do the necessary deep meditations to bring you to the 10th level and then the level of no more learning. You have to be concerned with deeper aspects of life that affect future lives before understanding the full nature of suffering and cyclic existence. That's loaded. You have to be concerned with deeper aspects of life that affect future lives before understanding the full nature of suffering in cyclic existence. So it's not just the suffering of this life. Suppose we get reborn here, then what? Oh, we're going to have to die then too. Yeah. I guess that's what he means. This is a little murky to me. This understanding of suffering in turn is required for the full development of compassion. So in order to develop compassion, you really got to know suffering. That's the conclusion I get from here. What do you think? You got to know suffering.
You have to understand that your suffering is not different than other people's suffering. And you have to dig in more, like you were talking earlier about dying. But if you don't think you're going to die and you don't address your own death, it's hard to be compassionate towards others.
Sure. Yes.
Who are dying.
Yes. Yeah. Are you picking him up, Darren?
Yeah, I'm turning up louder.
Okay. Remind me to turn this when somebody talks. Nobody. We Tibetans, the understanding of suffering in turn is required for the full development of compassion. Similarly, we Tibetans are seeking to achieve a measure of self-rule in Tibet in order to be of service to the beings in our homeland. But we are also striving to establish ourselves in a refugee situation in India. The accomplishment of the former greater purpose depends on our accomplishing the latter temporary aim. So they have to strengthen themselves. So they go. This was a while ago he wrote this. Now they're pretty well established in India with dealings with the Indian government. When is this copyright? When, guys? I can't find the copyright. 2004. Let me see. And we'll go on with this a little bit more. Disadvantages of not being mindful of death. So the old Tibetan thing, weigh the benefits and the faults, the advantages, the disadvantages, cost-benefit ratio in business, whatever it is, right? It is beneficial to be aware that you will die. Why? I don't know. If you are not aware of death, you will not be mindful of your practice, but will just spend your life meaninglessly, not examining what sorts of attitudes and actions perpetuate suffering and which ones bring about happiness. They'll slip under the radar. If you are not mindful that you might die soon, you will fall under the sway of a false sense of permanence. I'll die later on. Later. No. Then, when the time comes, even if you try to accomplish something worthwhile, you will not have the energy. Many Tibetans enter a monastery at a young age and study texts about spiritual practice, but when the time comes to really practice, the capacity to do so is somehow lacking. That's strange. This is because they do not have a true understanding of impermanence. So they're studying, they're under discipline, but they're not digging in and really, as Nikki would say, they're not getting it. You know? If, having thought about how to practice, you make a decision that you absolutely have to do so in retreat for several months or even many years, you have been motivated by your knowledge of impermanence. But if that urgency is not maintained by contemplating the ravages of impermanence again and again, your practice will peter out. This is why some people stay in retreat for years but experience no imprint on their lives afterward. That is a tragedy. So it's not only you being there, but what you're doing when you're there. Sometimes they bring up the fact that some of the old meditators would go and have the thought that people know that I'm really meditating. The whole town knows. The whole town. I'm meditating. He's a great yogi. And they bring me things. You might as well go home. You might as well go to the bar and hang out. Contemplating impermanence not only motivates your practice, but also fuels it. It gets you started, I guess, and keeps you going. That's what I get by motivating and fueling. I don't know. If you have a strong sense of the certainty of death and of the uncertainty of its arrival, the two things, you will be motivated from within. It will be as if a friend is cautioning, be careful, be earnest, another day is passing. Don't drink the water, or whatever. Good advice. You might even leave home for the monastic life. If you did, you would be given a new name and new clothing. You would also have fewer busy activities. You would have to change your attitude, directing your attention to deeper purposes. If, however, you continue busying yourself with the superficial affairs of the moment, delicious food, good clothing, better shelter, pleasant conversation, many friends and acquaintances, and even making an enemy if someone does something you don't like, and then quarreling and fighting, you would be no better off than before you went to the monastery. And he's talking to monks very harshly. Because I guess
Important for everyone.
it's important for everyone.
That's good to hear
Yeah.
today, you know?
Yeah. And perhaps even worse. Wait, there's worse. Or perhaps even worse. That's the end of the sentence. Remember, it's not sufficient to withdraw from these superficial activities out of embarrassment or fear of what your friends who are also on the path might think. The change must come from within. This is true for monks and nuns as well as lay people who take up practice. Perhaps you are beset by a sense of permanence, by thinking that you will not die soon and that while you are still alive, you need especially good food, clothing, and conversation. Why not? Here's why. Out of desire for the wondrous effects of the present, even if they are of little meaning in the long run, you are ready to employ all sorts of shameless exaggerations and devices to get what you want, making loans at high interest, looking down on your friends, starting court proceedings, all for the sake of more than adequate provisions. Since you have given your life over to such activities, money becomes more attractive than study. And even if you attempt to practice, you do not pay much attention to it. If a page falls out of a book, you might hesitate to retrieve it. But if some money falls to the ground, there's no question. That I like. If you encounter those who have really devoted their lives to deeper pursuits, you might think well of that devotion, but that would be all. Well, yeah, we admire, but that's something anyway, I think. Whereas if you see someone dressed in finery displaying his or her own wealth, you would wish for it, lust after it, hope for it, with more and more attachment. Ultimately, you'll do anything to get it. The mind starts, and it has its own energy and its own weight. It's really an untamed thing that you can, and it can go the other way in negative, and you commit suicide, things like that. And negative energy can carry you. Once you are intent on the fineries of this life, your afflictive emotions increase, which in turn necessarily bring about more bad deeds. These counterproductive emotions only lead us to trouble, making yourself and those around you uncomfortable. Even if you briefly learn how to practice the stages of the path to enlightenment, you acquire more and more material things and get involved with more and more people to the point where you are, so to speak, practicing the superficialities of this life, meditatively cultivating desire for friends and hatred for enemies, and trying to figure out ways to fulfill these afflictive emotions. And the only way we can figure out if we're in this situation is to look in your mind, with this as the background. We're the only ones that know individually what our motivations are, thought to thought to thought, and what comes up and what we bat away and what we accept.
But things can also be unconscious.
We have to bring them up to conscious, that's right. There's several layers of the mind, but the more we sit quietly, the more we'll see. And the motivation sometimes for saying something, for thinking I'll do this or that, is very subtle and it comes up real quick. I find you really have to slow down the mind. Sometimes you only see it in retrospect. What the hell did I say that for? Why am I going here in the first place? I really don't, things like that. When that starts to dawn, I think that's progress, It helps.
To me, that would seem so critical in terms of being able to motivate ourselves. In the sense that I feel like I'm controlled a lot by things that are unconscious in me, and therefore some of my motivations sometimes are sabotaged.
Your good motivation to
Yes.
sabotage. Yes, all of us. I think we should join the club. Yeah. And there are things that are obvious. You have a propensity to drink or, even cigarettes, That comes deep from deep.
So what is the
Sometime-
method for,
Some of the things, if you notice a certain impulse, how did this come about, this impulse? Do I associate drinking with a good time with friends, even though the friends got old and they're all creepy now or something?
It's like constant awareness, right?
You gotta have confidence awareness.
Constant thinking,
Yeah,
which,
but a relaxed awareness. You can't go
Yeah.
like this. That's what they used to teach in the Mahamudra classes. Relaxed awareness. That's a skill, and I think that's one of the keys. It comes about by just sitting there and watching everything that comes up and not going with it. The good, good. The bad, that's all. Without going on, making your own movie about every thought. Oh, now I want to do this. Or that. Yeah, that's what we do, you know. They used to say, Alan Wallace called one of his teachers, who was a new meditator, and this outside, they were making noise outside of his place in Pasadena. Pasadena. It was like living in a cotton ball. You know, it was very nice. Well, the kid's making noise with his bicycle, tricycle back and forth. I'm trying to meditate. And the guy said, "Listen, let it go, see it as just sound. Don't make a movie out of it." And then he does this, and then he's going to do that and that. Dogs barking, merengue music at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's tough. You lived in Brooklyn, you know what that's about.
I was just thinking I do that all the time. I make a movie, meaning
We all do,
take it
yeah.
farther and farther and
Yeah,
farther.
we all do.
Just leave it alone, let it go.
Yeah, then you're in the movie. Yeah, so you're walking off the train, you're cursing someone out that's not even there, maybe even died. Who knows? The mind is really strange. You're never alone when you look into your mind. There's so many people there, so many attitudes. It's tough. I don't know. That's why you need, in this chair, you need a yogi or someone who's got heavy vows that they're carrying truthfully to give that kind of advice. They could present thoughts from who said this, but not life-generated thoughts. You know, it's hard. But that's the key. That's a big one. It can ruin the whole day. And sometimes you have a mood, and where did that come? And you trace, oh, I thought about this and that. Wait a minute, that's not going to happen. What are you doing? Yeah.
Or it might.
It might. The worst
Shouldn't
it's
worry
might.
about it until it
I know.
does. Yeah.
I know. My friend said about his mother. My mother was the same way too. Hope for the worst and be upset when it doesn't happen. God damn. Hey, the working class. Hey. Let's see. Once you are intent on the fineries of this life, your afflictive emotions increase. We got that. Which in turn necessarily bring about more bad deeds, which set up your next life to be horrible. Your future, this life, or your next life. These counterproductive emotions only lead to trouble, making yourself and those around you uncomfortable. Okay, we got that. Even if you briefly learn how to practice the stages, you get more and more materialistic. We went through that. At that point, even if you hear about real beneficial practice, you're apt to feel, yes, that's so, but. One but after another. Indeed, you have become accustomed to afflictive emotions throughout your beginningless cyclic existence. You were born with that tendency. But now you have added on the very practice of superficiality. You've added on to the very practice of superficiality. This makes the situation even worse, turning you away from what will really help. Driven by such lust, you will find no comfort. You are not making others happy, and certainly not yourself. As you become more self-centered, my this, my that, my body, my wealth, anyone who interferes immediately becomes an object of anger. Although you make much out of my friends, my relatives, they cannot help you at birth or at death. You come here alone, and you have to leave alone. You'd have a funeral, but if on the day of your death a friend could accompany you, attachment would be worthwhile, but it cannot be so. When you are reborn in a totally unfamiliar situation, if your friend from the last lifetime could be of some help, that too would be something to consider, but it's not to be had. Well, what about the lamas and the 3 jewels? I don't know.
what was the last sentence?
I'll say, when you are reborn in a totally unfamiliar situation, in your next life, you're not familiar with. if your friend from the last lifetime could be of some help, that too would be something to consider. But it is not to be had. He's saying that's not. So we're going to question this. Well, what about, your connection with certain lamas? What about, I don't know. We can make an argument on this.
Well, that's where the Dharma comes in. And I don't remember who the teacher was that it said, there's 3 things about death. It's certain, the time of death is
That's
uncertain.
right, that's what we're going to go to.
And the only thing that can help you is your spiritual teachings.
Development, yeah. Spiritual teachers or teachings?
Teachings.
Teachings,
What
yeah,
you
you're
learn.
right, with the Dharma. Yeah.
You know,
That's what
it's
they're
only
going
the
to
Dharma
say
that can help you
in the
with
next
that.
chapter here, yeah.
And it's knowing that can help propel you into a better life.
Positive, true, right?
If you really believe this and live this, it can get rid of so many things that are problems.
Yeah, there's no room for the other
There's
thing.
just there's no reason for it.
And this is based on logic, while the other things are based on reality.
Yeah.
So this has power of itself, based on the true nature of things. So he's speaking from, who he is. So, I don't know, we gotta keep this place going, Mark, it's so important, ouch. We gotta get something that makes noise when we do. My relatives, Yes, in between birth and death for several decades, it is my friend, my sister, my brother. This misplaced emphasis does not help at all except to create more bewilderment, lust, and hatred. He's using lust not as sexual. I think it's just energy of grabbing things, I think. Lust for wealth, lust for power, yeah. I think he's using it that way, or his translator is. I don't know if he said this in English or not. When friends are overemphasized, enemies also come to be overemphasized. They come in a set. Us and them, here we are, fly that flag, which the whole world does. When you are born, you do not know anyone and no one knows you. Even though all of us equally want happiness and do not want suffering, you like the faces of some people and think, these are my friends, and dislike the faces of others and think, these are my enemies. You will fix identities and nicknames to them and end up practicing the generation of desire for the former and the generation of hatred for the latter. What value is there in this? Answer, none. He said, none. The problem is that so much energy is being expended on concern for a level no deeper than the superficial affairs of this life. The profound loses out to the trivial. Now we know this. Let's see what time we have. Not much. Probably won't get to this today, but this is valuable, I think. Isn't it? If you have not practiced and on your dying day you are surrounded by sobbing friends and others involved in your affairs, instead of having someone who reminds you of virtuous practice, this will only bring trouble. And you will have brought it on yourself. Where does the fault lie? It's not being mindful of impermanence. That's the fault. They can't, that's the advice always is people, you're around dying people, be calm, be smiley, they have a practice, help them, remember when, what's her name, Janet was put to death, she asked to be euthanized. We brought her boyfriend, myself, and one of her friends, a picture of His Holiness. We said the Heart Sutra, and then slowly she went out, and that was it, This was in 2014. She's a wonderful woman, if you know her. Janet Webster.
Did she have cancer?
She had cancer over 20 years. In 78 she got it. And I remember her crying and she said, don't worry, he must have. Darren knew her too. He used to go to the hospital to see her, but on and on. She said, I just can't stand the pain anymore. The doctor said it is terminal. So.
Did she have to go?
That's Israel did it in those days. And you said, Nikki, I thought it was illegal. I said, that's how they do it. And she wanted one more out of the room. I won't say who it is. She said this actor friend of a friend, Leibowitz, I think her name was something. She was on Law and Order, one of the big part. She was very forceful and a big woman. We got to get out of here now. She liked to be a little quiet for a while, and she got rid of her because this woman was going. Janet's about to die, and she's going on. You know what she said? Blah 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 blah. Darren arrived just as he passed. He brought flowers and everything, but he didn't realize it. She's a wonderful woman. She ran the outdoor program at Lincoln Center, the summer program, jazz at Lincoln Center, swing dancing and all that, over many years. Someone called her Janet Lobster. He couldn't pronounce it. Janet Lobster. That one. He knew what he was doing. He was being a character. And she liked the water. She was a big swimmer. From Florida
Perfect.
originally, yeah. So the advantages of being mindful of impermanence. Maybe we take a deep breath for 2 seconds, because it's only 10 minutes. I don't think we'll get through even this section, but it's very valuable. We'll do just a little, very slowly, because it's packed. However, if you do not wait until the end for the knowledge that you will die to sink in, and you realistically assess your situation now, what happens? You will not be overwhelmed by superficial temporary purposes. You will not neglect what matters in the long run. It is better to decide from the very beginning that you will die and investigate what is worthwhile. So now's the time, with relaxation, with a smile on your face, look into all this stuff. If you keep in mind how quickly this life disappears, you will value your time and do what is valuable. With a strong sense of the imminence of death, you will feel the need to engage in spiritual practice, improving your mind, and will not waste your time in various distractions, ranging from eating and drinking to endless talk about war, romance, and gossip. Well, there goes my weekend. All beings want happiness and do not want suffering. You heard this. Let me write that down. I've never heard this before. We use many levels of techniques for removing unwanted suffering in its superficial and deep forms, but it is mostly humans who engage in techniques in the earlier part of their lives to avoid suffering later on. But those who do and do not practice religion seek over the course of their lives to lessen some sufferings and to remove others, sometimes even taking on pain as a means to overcome greater suffering and gain a measure of happiness. Everyone tries to remove superficial pain, but there is another class of techniques concerned with removing suffering on a deeper level. Now he's talking. Aiming at a minimum to diminish suffering in future lives, and beyond that, even to remove all forms of suffering for oneself as well as for all beings. Spiritual practice is this deeper type, so that's its motivation, the core. These techniques, plural, involve an adjustment in attitude. I have that in quotes. Thus, spiritual practice basically means to adjust your thought well. In Sanskrit, it is called dharma, which means that which holds. This means that by adjusting counterproductive attitudes, you are free from a level of suffering and thus held back from that particular suffering. Spiritual practice protects or holds back yourself and others from misery. That's the purpose of spiritual practice. Page 53, if you get this book. I think we'll end now because it's, any questions, Brandon? What you said about watching your mind is very important. That's the whole show. That's where everything takes place. But we're not accustomed to that. We're accustomed to going out. I'm going to turn it around. You have to, maybe a selfie. Do that with your mind. Check the selfie level. Turn it out to that. Whatever. I don't know.
I'm interested in that meaning of dharma is that which holds.
Which holds, yeah. Holds from the lower
Stays
realm.
true.
Holds from the lower realm. You could put it that way. There's probably many reasons you could take that are all legit. You could improvise on the theme.
I think dharma they also use to mean phenomena. Like
All the systems,
yeah,
worldly dharmas, yeah.
And I think the definition of phenomena in some of those texts is that which retains its nature.
Phenomena, that which retains its nature.
Yeah, and that's like holding in some way.
Yeah, like water's always wet, fire's always hot. Those are nature things, yeah. Retains all the dharmas. It always, capital D dharma, maybe we'll do that in English. I don't know if they have capital letters in Tibet. I don't think they do. Or Sanskrit? I guess not. What do you write in red or something?
Capital letters.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah. Simon would know.
Yes.
Call him up right now.
He'll be back soon.
So we'll conclude, we'll pick this up again Monday night. Darren, names?
Yes, Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk, sad. And the repercussions of shooting someone, I don't know. Violence is coming to this country more and more. It's not good. You have to make friends at least with your fellow Americans. You have dictatorships all over the world that want to kill us. You know, and then we're fighting with each other. Set the table, guys, I don't know. Sutra of the Recollection over 3 Jen, Charlie Kirk and whoever else, and also the people victims of all the Gaza victims, Darfur, Ukraine, we can go on. Nepal, yes, they burned the parliament in Nepal. Well, we're here, good old Tibet Center. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy, and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. So 8 verses on training the mind by Langtri Tangpa. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Prayer for a swift return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche, who's over here. I think I blocked him. Written by His Holiness. Got it?
Yes.
Oh, good. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop. Soul refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes. Guru Lozang Tubuan Dorje Chang, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of Victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel. Return as the glory of Losang Tempe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Srimata Devi, and the oceans of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moon-like face. That concludes tonight's presentation. Our next Dharma presentation will be Monday night the 15th in New York City at 151 West 30th Street, 3rd floor, where we are every Monday, or we're online. And the next Dharma event after that will be next Wednesday right here in the parsonage, 7 o'clock. So thanks for your patient listening. Big love to all of you.